Hello, my name is Fidele Nkunduwera Byiringiro, and I'm Southern New Hampshire student. Right now, I'm working on a project which is called World Health Worries. In this project, I'm going to be in interview where I'm going to be asked different questions. For now, I'm ready.
Global health seems to be in the news more and more in recent years. Talk about what global health is and why it's important to pay attention to it.
Okay, thank you very much. Global health is an area of study, research, practice that places a priority on improving health and achieving equity in health for all people around the world. This global health is very important because it works by providing solution of healthcare issues. The global health involves many disciplines within and beyond the health sciences. It promotes the interdisciplinary collaboration in the healthcare system. Uh,
Disease can come to us in different ways. Explain the difference between communicable and non-communicable disease.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Communicable disease are diseases that can pass from one person to another. These diseases are spread by contact with someone or something that contains some small organism that can cause the disease. The example of communicable disease may be like HIV, AIDS, influenza, tuberculosis, and so on. Non-communicable disease, these are diseases that cannot be transmitted from one person to another. The non-communicable disease are cancer, for example, lung, heart disease, and so on. Thank you.
Let's talk about Ebola, since I'm sure most of our viewers have heard a lot about that. What is it? Is it communicable or non-communicable? How do people get it?
Okay, thank you very much. Ebola is a dangerous and serious infectious disease that causes high fever and bleeding inside the body. The Ebola disease is commonly affect individuals and non-human beings, including monkey, gorillas, and chimpanzee. Ebola is communicable disease. Communicable disease. It is because it spreads to people through direct contact with bodily fluid or person who is sick or died from Ebola virus disease. This said can appear when an individual touch on the infected body fluid. Also, Ebola can attack a person if he touches on an object that are contained with Ebola viruses. Thank you very much.
What would raise a person's risk of getting Ebola?
Okay, thank you. The risk of being infected with Ebola is very low for most people. This risk can only be developed if you have traveled to an area where Ebola is attacking people. Also, the risk can develop if you had a contact with a person who had been contaminated with Ebola. The risks of being infected by Ebola can be increased when you touch or eat you eat infected animals.
So, to prevent or at least lessen the chance of getting Ebola, what should people do?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Uh, the following precautions can help to prevent infections of and spread of Ebola. People are advised to do the following: avoid the area where Ebola disease is killing people. It is prohibited to go in the area where Ebola is killing people. Wash your hands frequently. Like all other infectious disease, the most preventive measures are to frequently wash the hand with the pure water and soap. Avoid bush meat. During the Ebola case, people are advised to not buy or eat the wild animals. Avoid contact with infected people. People, including caregivers, are advised to not contact with an infected person's body fluid and tissue, including blood, semen, vaginal secretions, saliva, and so on. Also, also, don't handle remains. Don't handle remains. People are advised to not touch the bodies of people who have died of Ebola disease. A person who is allowed to touch the body is only one person, or the person who have appropriate safety equipment. Also, this person should be trained. Thank you. Um,
Outbreaks such as the one related to Ebola can generate a lot of rumors and misinformation, and even panic about what the disease is, how it is transmitted, and how likely people are to get it.
okay.
Talk about the need for educating people about facts versus myths.
Okay, about the need for educating people, all doctors, nurses, epidemiologists, and everyone working in healthcare have to take a more active role by educating people about the epidemic. During that time of Ebola case, people should only accept and believe the information provided by healthcare caregivers.
How about the complications that Ebola raises for the rights of travelers and the responsibilities of governments? Casey Hickox, for example, a nurse from Maine who returned to the States following a trip to West Africa in the fall of 2014, promptly had quarantine-related restrictions thrust upon her, restrictions that she was very much against. Briefly describe the difficulty of balancing individual rights and governmental responsibility.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Ebola raises many complications for rights of travelers and the responsibility of government. For example, Hachi Hawks, the nurse who defeated in an Ebola quarantine in Maine has shown the Ebola symptoms in 3 weeks. This happened to Hycox after treating Ebola patients in Sierra Leone before returning to United States. For sure, after doing that, she was prevented from her freedom of moving anywhere she wanted. For example, she was held in the quarantine tent in New Jersey before being released to Maine. Also, one day, Hycox and her boyfriend, Ted Wilbert, planned to move elsewhere in Maine. However, they have disappointed during during the time that they reached to the University of Maine at Fort Kent, where Wilbert was a nursing student. University had asked him to stay away from the campus. This made both Hykos and her boyfriend very frustrated. It is because Wilbert said that I had paid for education and they refused my right to go to school. This shows that they were angry, both of them. With the government responsibilities in fighting against Ebola, there should be some raises of complication. For example, during the situation, the government can do the quarantine and the isolation for some suspected persons. For example, for quarantine, there should be the separation and the restriction of movement of persons while not yet ill. For isolation refers to the separation of persons who have an infectious illness from those who are healthy and the restrictions of their movement to stop the spread of that illness. So if the said measures are taken, it can make afraid to the population of country of the country. Also, neighbors. I mean, neighbor country can be seriously be treated. If you listen that some people um, are isolated some way, so this can cause other people to be frustrated. or to be afraid.
Let's talk about smoking and tobacco use, which is considered a big world health problem and raises similar issues to Ebola in terms of rights and responsibilities. Just about everyone knows that smoking harms health. What does it do to the body?
Okay, thank you so much. Smoking and tobacco are very, very dangerous for the human body. Smoking can cause disease, disability, and harms for every single organ of the body. For example, more than 16 billion of Americans are living with disease caused by smoking. Smoking is not good. It is because it causes many serious illness, including cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung disease, diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Also, if a person is chronically smoking, he can increase the risks of being affected by tuberculosis and certain eye disease. And remember, tuberculosis can be transmitted to another person, means is communicable disease. Thank you.
What about secondhand smoke? Explain what that is and how it affects people.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Secondhand smoking is a combination of the smokes that comes from the burning of cigarette, cigar, pipe, pipe of smokers and people of smokers. With this said, the non-smokers who are near from that smokers can inhale 100 toxic chemical smoke. The second-hand exposure caused to approximately 41,000 deaths among non-smoking adults and 400 deaths in infants. This happens every year. With the second-hand smoking, a person can be affected with illness like the ones who used it or who used to smoke. Yeah.
People don't typically think of tobacco as a drug like heroin or cocaine, but the addiction it creates is strong, isn't it? Shouldn't we think of tobacco use as a form of substance abuse?
Okay. Thank you very much for this question. Tobacco can put lives of smoker in dangers. Tobacco can be considered as very strong drug like heroin or cocaine. It is because once a person is regularly used to tobacco, this person is immediately addicted to nicotine. With nicotine, transient surge of endorphins in the reward circuit of the brain causes a slight and brief euphoria. Also, like other drug abuse, nicotine increases levels of the neurotransmitter dopamine in the reward circuit, which reinforce the behavior of taking other additional drugs. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for talking to us.
Okay, thank you very much, and really appreciate you. And maybe you will invite me to deal about or to talk more about this related information. Thank you very much.